Well, hello everyone. It is Sunday. It is Kristi, and so that means it's time for Weekend Winters. How are y'all doing? I'm doing well. Happy Sunday to you. I'm going to be honest, I'm tired again, but all in a good cause, all in the aims of a good cause. Happy to announce that we met our goal for our Save the Children fundraiser last night, this morning, more this morning, in our D&D session. We raised, I think, the last announced was $540, which is great considering we only put it together like 3 weeks ago. The aim was to get 500, and we did that by almost 10% plus. I think the link is still open. And so, yeah, thanks to everybody who contributed. If you couldn't contribute, thank you for sharing the message or the tweet or stopping by in the chat to support us in the game. It was a little, well, as is with a lot of things with D&D. Okay, yeah, all right, well, okay. Trans Gamer Girl, can y'all just sort it out in the chat and tell me what time? Because I don't just figure it out. Like, we're starting an hour earlier. I don't know. Like, I can't help you there. And I can't make an executive decision without Kelsey. So I can't, because we have to wait for Kelsey to get up. All right, personal matters aside. Yeah, hi, how y'all doing? Happy Sunday. Wow, this picture. I'm gonna make my picture a little bit bigger so that you can see me. Yeah, thanks Kevin for sending me this in the morning. Nobody really need to see this picture, I'm telling you, but we're getting it anyway. Yeah, that cursed image. Look, I'm not body shaming Peter. I don't care about what they do, what they put up. It's just like, first of all, I don't know that anyone asked for this. And if it's not like I went to Peter's videos and found what they were doing and pulled this out, right? One, this is a picture they took of themselves, which is fine. I know a lot of people dress up for the YouTube channels. You make impressions. You want to stand out. But Peter went ahead and tweeted this out again. I think this is like an old image, and they done tweeted it out like again on the 30th. Why? Just Why? I don't understand what other... So anyway, Peter apparently wanted attention for this, so I am giving it. Poor Mama Sid. Good morning. Oh God, why am I saying this? Yeah, that's kind of how I felt this morning when I woke up before I had my coffee. And I was forced to see Peter Coffin with, apparently these are American flag tattoos, I guess, applied to their body and the patriotic onesie. Peter, what are you doing? Honestly, you're validating an organization that spends its time stalking Colin Kaepernick, Ida Bay, what's her last name, and Kendi online. Like they literally just are a troll bully account of not better discourse, but defending white supremacy. And you're going to sit on their stage with them and let your white privilege just let you walk amongst white supremacists without, maybe having to take some hassle about being, left. But your existence, I guess they will kill communists. They will kill communists. But they're happy to use you as a useful tool, as a useful idiot, in order to legitimize themselves and make them look like they're more moderate, that they're willing to listen to both sides. You are being used by basically Nazis to give them legitimacy and make them look like they are in a position where leftists will come and talk. You and Jangles both. I am serious. Like, Peter, I expect. Jangles, I was disappointed out in terms of, like, how he handled his whole white fragility debate. I didn't think that went as well as Jangles thought. But honestly, again, this is sort of like, this is why white leftists, leftists get side-eyed by people of color. Because you go to their Nazi events. It looks like you're picking your race over your, class. It looks like you're using your white privilege to get in and like, oh yeah, I'm one of you, let me just convert you over to my side of thinking, instead of realizing they're an existential threat to so many people. Peter and Jangles are both going to be at the Myth Informed. So yeah, let's just go ahead and take a look at the Myth Informed. I've got my bookmarks here, but we can open up a new tab. And we will get to the Republicans in the Wisconsin, but this show goes a little while. All right, search. Let's just look at the kind of organization that they are going to go to Texas and sit on stage with these people and pretend that what they're doing here and what they're saying here is just a disagreement. It's just, it's all the what, and I know they have people, not everybody there who's people are white people. They have people of color on stage who are right-wing, who are promoting the preservation of the white privilege status quo. But, so let's see. We've got... hearing different yes, okay. All right. So they're retweeting Rich Lowry. They retweet Jack Posobiec on the regular. And of course, now Rich Lowry is basically, tweeting them, mocking Colin Kaepernick because black man's scary, I guess, in their minds. So, their little obsession with Colin Kaepernick right now. So they get a lot of exciting attention from other white supremacists for this. They're using Uyghurs in order to shame Colin Kaepernick. Never go full Kendi. This is their basically their take on ableism. Is this connected to MythCon? It is the damn same group. It is the exact same group. They just changed their name. It is. They retweet white supremacist Jack Posobiec, who held a sign that said ARPE Melania at a leftist, on a progressive event, in order to make it look like that's what the left was doing, because he's a POS. Making fun of lesbians. More harassing, mocking Colin Kaepernick. There's a lot of that on there. Oh, black man with an opinion I don't like, therefore I more Kendi stuff. This is who Peter Coffin is helping. This is who Jangles is saying, yeah, I'm going to sit on the stage with these people and treat them with respect and dignity, even though they won't show people of color that same respect and dignity. It's yeah. Oh, here we go. Yep. That's Jangles, right? The science dude, Eden, whatever his name is. He's in there using his white privilege to. He's gonna be like, yeah. There's Peter. So let's look at the discourse. Yeah, we'll get to the Wisconsin GOP are fascists. I mean, that's the headline on that one. Because I just saw that image beforehand. All right, we're daring to have an uncomfortable but necessary conversation. No, you're basically justifying white supremacy. So this is MythCon are the kinds of people who will complain about the words, anti-racism being mentioned in schools, but are completely silent on the issue of the United Daughters of the Confederacy, organizing white supremacist and pro-slavery talking points in putting them into textbooks since the early part of the 20th century. That they never talk out. They never talk about that. Never speak out on that. But you try to get a little critique of that white supremacist agenda, and suddenly, SJW debates Jangles. Yeah, okay, it is the same person. All right, so we got Destiny. Okay, Democracy Dies with Dorsey. I don't know who Dorsey is. Big Tech Censorship. Moderated by Lauren Chen, with Destiny, Ariella Scarella, Nico House, and Peter Coffin. So there you go. You get to get the whole, basically leftist who attack, I'm feeling that Peter is on that side of the leftisms, like with Angie Speaks, who actually are attacking the Netflix workers for having the audacity to use the structures of capitalism as a reflection back to critique them because they wore costumes from the Squid Game. Yes, Jangles is, as Trans Gamer Girl said, SJW debates. He's known as, and Jangles. He did a debate on white fragility, which I can't remember who that was, if that was against. Was that against Milo about a year ago? Was that Jangles? I think so. Anyway, another kind of Twitch leftist, white guy who, again, when people of color say they side-eye white progressives, I get it, because y'all are sitting down with people like, James Lindsay and crap. Oh, re-di-di-di-di-di. My friend is now in the cult of Tim Pool and thinks that vaccine mandates are the Holocaust or something. God. I'm sorry, as someone living in Germany. I am not German. I am my American citizen, but as a German resident, I should have said. As a German resident, I interact with and see today, it wasn't very frequently, they do Holocaust memorials. They do Holocaust memorials to different groups in Germany quite often. Let's just see when the last one was put up. I'm sure it was pre-COVID. Memorial ceremony? Oh, I guess I should probably put Germany. That would be better to be more specific. And I'll put Merkel as well, because that'll reduce the searches down to just the ones that she attended. Yeah, so here, let's just look at how often the German leader stands up. Did I spell Merkel wrong? Okay, yeah, I did. Stands up and owns something she didn't do, right? Because there is, within some parts of Germany, not everywhere, obviously AFD excluded and all the right-wing people, but this idea of moral ownership. And here's the thing is that moral ownership doesn't disappear because of generations. It's a national fact. It's a national history, fact. And so we have to reconcile with it. And you can't, when white people say, I don't want to be made to feel guilty about what happened 100 years ago, that's kind of like saying, in my mind, yeah, my great-grandfather was a mob boss who ordered the killing of people and arsons and stealing stuff, and that money got washed through the Caribbean, and my family now owns that money. And, I don't want to feel any moral obligation to give that stolen wealth back. I didn't steal it. I just inherited it. It's moral money laundering. Oh, if you just let it go a couple generations, then, you don't have to worry about the fact that illegal activities, immoral activities produce your wealth. And it's not on an individual level here. It's the nation's responsibility. And the nation's responsibility doesn't go away because generations change. Hey, Matthew, welcome. Good to see you. By the way, say also hi, DNF fan. DN fan. Sorry, Transgamer Girl Poma Masid in the chat. And this is Water. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Appreciate it. Oh, Fox of Fate. Hello. And Lee, I'm not Katie, I'm Kristi. I passed your message on to Kevin about his volume, but there's a significant thing that you're missing. Kevin doesn't care. Like, I have tried for years to get him to sort everything out. I can't do it, so I'm not his secretary. Please don't pass on messages. Anyway, let's look at how often Merkel personally has gone to events to honor victims of the Holocaust, and she wasn't even there. Right? This is not her generation. And yet she's not complaining. Why do I have to feel culpable for that? Because she's not a little, right? 2021, Merkel honors Holocaust victims. Vows Germany, well, blah, 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 something else. That looks like it was in Jerusalem. That was at October 21. December 6th, 2019, Merkel says Germany must remember the Nazi crimes. 25th of April 2017, Merkel awards Elie Weiss Prize for the preservation. Laying a wreath. Okay, there. So, every year, pretty much, the past is not forgotten. 2015, and Chancellor Angela Merkel at a Holocaust remembrance ceremony. It just goes on and on because you know what? They don't just go, oh, that's in the past. Oh my God, that was like, in the last century. We don't pay attention. And Americans just don't take that. White Americans don't take that moral culpability seriously. All right, so we were back. Okay, yes, sorry, Lee. I just, I've tried with Kevin so often. And it's just a matter of him like listening back and adjusting his audio, and he won't do it. So I've tried. I really have tried. You know how I am obsessed about, the audio. All right, so that's Peter Coffin hanging out with Destiny and Ariella Oh, is that Tim Pool's? Is this Tim Pool's producer? The woman who got hired because she was a woman? I missed you too, Matthew. I know you're busy on a Sunday and you're doing art stuff, and that is awesome. And we appreciate you, and we appreciate you're here. So, yeah, nice. It's nice to see you on a Sunday because it's ridiculous early where you are. What is next up? National narrative, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. And look at the lineup on this. Jack Posobiec, Sean Fitzgerald, Destiny, and I don't know who Sarah Gonzalez is. But basically, you've got here... does Sean Fitzgerald claim to be Puerto Rican? They're like, oh, like minimal, like basically white, embedded, white bubble kind of situation where you can pass as white, so you don't experience life, and yet you still claim validity based on your heritage to shut down other people. Like, I think there was something about him being Puerto Rican or some linkage with Puerto Rico, and he wanted to basically tell other Puerto Rican people to shut up. Sean Fitzgerald here, claiming his whatever half or quarter Puerto Rican linkages. And I'm sorry, if you are like completely white, passing white name, white guy, you never experience that kind of discrimination, then you want to shut down other people's experiences who have that? Oh, 18, okay, that's not... Oh, that's right, because the time difference, right? We're here in Europe, so the time for us is flipped. So, yes. Okay. So this is basically liberty and justice for all. This is, I'm sure, going to be some sort of white-splaining about how, yeah, like, people of color weren't, human beings under the law until the 1960s. But it's been like 40 years, so what are they complaining about, is my impression. Learn your ABCRTs, education or indoctrination. Again, there's nothing here about the United Daughters of the Confederacy putting in white supremacist talking points. And if we're not going to use anti-racism and equality dimension, like analysis, if we're not going to look at human equality as a basis for morality that's not white supremacy, they're complaining, they're complaining about they're complaining about the solution. They're not complaining about the actual problem. Oh, she is, and she left the leftover trans acceptance. Oh, goodbye. Honestly, goodbye. It's strange because maybe it wasn't like as much of an intersection because I was in such a white environment. I'm coming to the point. I had a friend that I actually fell out with because she was a TERF. And it's probably like the only time I've ever fully cut somebody off in my life because they were just so bigoted I couldn't stand to be around them. Like physically, I couldn't. She might as well have been dropping the N-word all the time, the way that she talked about trans people when we had an argument, right? Like I was getting some snurfy. I was getting some the scent of TERF off of her for a bit, but it wasn't like something that we talked about fully. But when it did come up, and I can't, like, it would be like having somebody who's just virulently homophobic in my life, or virulently virulently racist, black people or Hispanic people, whatever group you want to say. It was just nauseous. All right, so who's going to talk about CRT? Of course, James Lindsay and Libby Emmons. She's the one who sat down with her whiteness. Do you remember we had that conversation? Oh, and this is where Jangles is going to come. Jangles is really, if you've ever seen James Lindsay, he's got verbal diarrhea. And there is no way that, I don't even know who Carrie Smith is. Carrie Smith seems to be basically like sitting in, that one is the after party. And I don't know who Carrie Smith is. But anyway, James Lindsay is not going to let anyone get a word in edgewise. And I don't know who Michael Gonzalez is. I'll have a look. Michael Gonzalez. I don't think that's the same Michael Gonzalez. Right? And what else I've got then? Is America at its breaking point? So they're asking Sydney Watson, who's Australian. Okay, girl. I don't know who these people are. It's a really lame lineup. But they've got, you remember, like, so back in the day, they, would like they got Sargon in, they were getting Shoe on Head and Armored Skeptic. Do you remember those days? And who else were getting in? Like some real YouTube people. They would make some efforts to get leftists, but at this point, yeah, they are like, it's all right-wing cultists. And Jack Posobiec is a white supremacist. Libby Emmons is basically, is advocating a white supremacist agenda. Sean Fitzgerald too. Who else? No, I don't think that is Tim Pool's producer. Who is this woman? Maybe it is. I don't know. I have to figure out who she is so that. Oh no, she just looks like she's a vlogger. Okay, she doesn't seem to. American vlogger. Okay, she's not with Tim Pool then, is she? She's just like a right-winger sellout. Okay. All right. Yeah, it took me 3 years, actually. So Trans Kramer Girl is describing the story of how long Kevin had really crappy internet. And I was like, have you plugged it in or are you using your Wi-Fi? He's like, I'm using my Wi-Fi. I'm like, just plug it in, like physically plug it into the wall. And he didn't for years and years. And when he did, it basically shot up his streaming. So, oh gosh. If you could get Kevin to use the filters, like the compression filter on OBS, I would be so happy. But honestly, when I try, he just shuts me down. Like, there's no point. All right. Wow, look at this. Of course, Texas police would refuse to help citizens because all right, so where was I? We were going to look at bookmarks. Okay. And, can we just say Kyle Kalinske is trash. Is complete trash. I'll cover this. Oh, she's Ariel's a TERF. Okay. Of course, it's basically TERF con, white supremacist con. And, Peter Coffin and Jangles are going there. I mean, I don't know why. Because, again, the audience they attract are the kinds of people who hate Colin Kaepernick and want to see him degraded. They hate Ibram Kendi, and they want to see him degraded. They want to mock people. If you ever, interact with anyone from Myth Informed, they're just, the most they can do is, you're stupid and you're ugly and you're old and you're, literally no originality whatsoever. It's just the stock, ugh. Yeah, Kevin is a Luddite. And so I don't understand, like, why would you as a leftist go and elevate the credibility of a bunch of white supremacists? I don't get it. How's my camera lens, by the way? All right. Do I need to wipe that off? You looking a little dusty? Yeah, I think you're okay. Yeah, Kyle Kulinski and Crystal Ball sanitized Joe Rogan's homophobic swing at the Secretary of State, and then Kyle Kulinski claims that Buttigieg taking paternity leave is terrible because it will be viewed as trivial, selfish, narcissistic, a thing that people will exploit. Kyle Kulinski is part of the problem when it comes to anti-men, like anti-father messaging. This idea that men who spend time with their kids are selfish and that child bonding with their parent is trivial. I mean, who are these people? Like, how can you even say they're left? Oh, yeah, white man just lying on the floor because he won't wear a face mask. Imagine, like, seriously, if a person of a different class or background did this, and it just, like, a child, a freaking child, man-child, honestly. Like, it's kids who throw themselves on the floor and have these kinds of temper tantrum. Oh, Kevin doesn't like change, y'all. Kevin is, like, for being on the left and being progressive, he really does not like change. And he doesn't like to have to work at something to make it better if it is getting along just fine. So don't talk to me about it. Talk to him. All right, let's talk finally about the fascist Republicans who are trying to, this flusters me so much because, it's my home state, and it just shows you that being a northern state doesn't mean anything when it comes to, like, the history of the Civil War and the history of civil rights. There's a lot of racist white people who claim the veneer of legal equality while maintaining every other possible form of inequality. It's the Wisconsin GOP because they've been in control of the state in terms of control of the houses for more often because of their gerrymandering. They could have dealt with the segregation in Milwaukee, but they chose not to because that's part of the plan. Hypersegregation in Milwaukee is part of the plan. Because it allows the white flight and it concentrates things and it allows them to blame people for their own circumstances. So let's see what they're having to do. Did I see the anti-masker? Yeah, the video of the guy who walked into the shop and attacked the old man and was trespassing, and they were telling him get out because we require masks. Yeah, I saw that guy. All right. Let's just be really clear about what all of these attacks on freedom of thought and freedom of speech in the classroom. You're like, oh, there's no freedom of speech. There is a freedom for a teacher to select the words they use in order to teach a course. There is a level of academic freedom here, right? I can't think of any words. When you're talking like there's policies against profanity, let's say, there's probably policies against hate crime and harassment and all those kinds of things that lead to an unsafe and unproductive education, learning place, an educational place to learn that, students have to, there's some policies that are there to keep people safe, right? But when we look at this list of words, it's clear. The agenda here is to make sure that all of the things that happened that advanced white people in America at the expense of every other group doesn't get talked about, isn't criticized, isn't held up in the light of what the American principles are generically for everyone, and compare that with the specific practice of applying those principles. Like, do the principles we recite in theory manifest in policy and fact? The answer is no. Okay. All right, so this happened. I didn't even realize this happened last month, so apologies I'm late on this, but honestly, this is how you get fascism. This is how you get a racist fascist party and how you get a racist fascist state. You teach people lies instead of history. The Wisconsin Assembly passed legislation on a party line vote Tuesday, this was in September, the end of September, that would bar public schools from teaching critical race theory. The latest Republican-controlled legislative chamber to take action on a culture war issue that erupted in school board meetings around the country this summer. Let's be clear, it doesn't matter so much that this bill could never get passed. Right. There's a Democratic governor. There's a Democratic governor. Governor, the Democrat. It's hard wording this morning. Yeah, still. And so people say, "Oh, this is just meaningless political posturing." No, it's not. This is them admitting that when they have the power, they will silence teachers from speaking words, specific words. You will be barred from saying words, regardless of the context, because they want to make sure that white supremacy can't be criticized. And we'll look at the words. You can see all of the words are they're the linguistic framework for analyzing power, for analyzing racism, for analyzing the sort of sexism, homophobia, and transphobia that all come out of patriarchy. It's a horrible three-legged stool of hate that is reinforced through patriarchy. And it's basically saying, don't look at what we did. Don't look at our racisms. Let's just pretend they didn't happen. So there is a list of these words. We'll have a look at those. So yeah, it was 100% Republicans. Oh my God. So the measure would apply both to instruction provided to students in the classroom as well as training provided to school employees. So adults couldn't even discuss these topics with other adults on work time as part of training. They're fascists. They're totalitarian. They're authoritarian. They basically want to steal everyone's money, keep all the power, and force us all to live in a two-tiered society where white people get to control the money, get to control the direction of the economy, get to control the religious. I mean, religion is less important in terms of their agenda, but having religious reinforcement of their racism, having religious justification or sign-off, right? If the church isn't criticizing you, it basically is accepting you. And we know that Christianity has conspired with evil people in the past in order to preserve their power. And that's Catholics and Protestants. It's every group. You have the social reinforcement, you have the legal reinforcement, and then you have, white supremacists in government making the laws to make sure that they never have to be accountable, account for the privileges that they have. Hi, Tara, by the way. Hi, Needle Magnifico, and hello, Michael. Thank y'all for stopping by. All right, so the bill would also require school boards to post curricula to its own websites and to specific school websites if a school has one. School districts that do not comply would lose 10% of their share of state funding. Parents or guardians of students in a school that violated the bill by teaching critical race theory or its related concepts would be allowed to sue in state court. They are using that idea of vigilantism that is being used in Texas to terrorize pregnant people and terrorize even Uber drivers who might drive someone to a family planning clinic that provides abortion in order to, it's sort of like, I don't want to say it's exactly, I don't want to say it's like this Fugitive Slave Act because we're not crossing state boundaries, but the whole idea is to, allow racists to bully school boards to the point where school boards give in. It's too expensive, too costly to fight all of these efforts to have them teach accurately, and so they're just silenced. So they make it illegal, and then they help reinforce it through mob intimidation and in mob power. How is that not evil? Republicans are evil. And not everyone who votes Republican is evil, but if you vote for a Republican, you're voting for evil. Yeah, it's blatantly unconstitutional. But again, when the Republicans get in, what they do is they pass unconstitutional laws, and then they make the taxpayers pay for defending those unconstitutional laws in court and for as long as they can. So let's look at these really scary, terrifying words. The oh so scary words that the GOP, can I get any closer? All right, you're not going to be able to read this. I can read this. Is that, yeah, okay. All right, I'm just going to have to cover you up, chat. I think I'm just going to have to cover you up. Yep, all right, now I can read this. So here are the words that that the GOP tried to ban. Critical race theory, of course, because we can't teach students ideas. You know, we can't let them think for themselves. We can't let them evaluate. No. That would allow for the possibility that they might go, ooh, are we the baddies? When it comes to U.S. history and all the things we did to the Native Americans and the way that lynchings were just allowed to go by without real prosecution, entire sections of town sometimes were destroyed because of white hate. Isn't that wrong? Action civics, social emotional learning. All these words are banned, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Can't talk about diversity in schools, certainly can't talk about inclusion. Inclusion is dangerous because that might lead to some sort of racial mixing, right? Culturally responsive teaching, abolitionist teaching, affinity groups, anti-racism. You can't say the word anti-racism in school, according to these fascist GOP. Anti-bias training, anti-blackness. Can't talk about anti-blackness. Anti-meritocracy, obtuse meritocracy, centering or decentering. Can't use those words. Collective guilt. Colorism. Colorism. Can't talk about colorism because even though that's not necessarily something that affects white people, it starts with the premise, or the observation, I should say, the empirical observation that lighter-skinned people get preferential treatment in our society. So you can't even talk about like colorism within communities of color because it reinforces the fact that white people get a disproportionate amount of privilege. Conscious and unconscious bias, banned. Critical ethnic studies, critical pedagogic, anything with critical, basically. Cultural appropriation, cultural awareness. You can't be culturally aware under Wisconsin GOP worldviews. Cultural relevance is banned. Cultural responsiveness, banned. What else? Diversity training would be banned. Equitable. They want to ban the word equitable and equity. And this is what they will do when they get power. Don't tell me they won't. This isn't performative. This is a practice run. Because this is what white supremacists do. They rewrite history. They shame people and try to intimidate anyone who criticizes them. And this is what they're doing again. So there's a whole list. Racial justice is banned. Racial prejudice. They want to ban the word racial prejudice. Racial supremacy can't be mentioned. You can't say the word social justice. Not even at a training in school between adults. Can't talk about structural biases or structural inequity between adults and an education system doing pedagogical work. They want to ban the word structural racism, ban the word systemic bias. Just generally ban the word systemic oppression. There is no systemic oppression in America. Doesn't exist. Look. Hey, yeah, I'm a white man. And yeah, my parents have been living off lands that were stolen from Native Americans and built their wealth off that. And yeah, I might have inherited everything. And yeah, I was a legacy admission, so I didn't actually qualify to get in on my own merits, just on my wealth. But you know what? I worked a little bit in school and, I ran a business into the ground. Therefore, I pulled myself up on my own bootstraps. Can't say white fragility. How fragile are you? How fragile do you have to be to not be able to tolerate the word white fragility? Aren't you kind of making the point, Wisconsin GOP, at this point? Can't say the word white privilege. Can't say white social capital. Can't say white supremacy. White supremacy never existed in America, according to the Wisconsin GOP. Nope. We can never say the word white supremacy. Ever, because that might actually expose the underlying value and worldview of the people who created, this nation and this legal framework in order to benefit themselves only on the basis of their race and gender. And they just want, you can't say the word woke. Can't say I woke up this morning. No. The GOP wants to ban the word woke. They're fascists. They're fascists. And as soon as they come to the power, they will implement this. They will implement it and they will drag it through the courts, and the whole time school districts, their intention is to terrorize you and to terrorize people. That's why they do this. This is why they abuse the power of the state in order to enforce something that, like, in society, they don't have the power to do. If you just went by demographics, they can't force us to not talk about things. But what these white men and their white women allies and their people of color allies want to do is protect this structure of privilege that white people have. Because once you start unpacking it, there's a whole lot of questions of, damn, like, I have advantages I didn't work for. I've been, like, given in basically receipt of stolen goods. And their concern is about making sure white people don't feel bad about that. That's their concern. They want to make sure white people don't feel bad about all of the horrible things and the people who suffered and died so that they could be comfortable. All right. So it's literally the words, not the teaching. Let's go back. Yeah, Riggers, who represents Muskego in the legislature, attached an addendum to his legislation that included a list of the terms and concepts that would violate the bill if it became law. Among the words woke, whiteness, white supremacy, structural bias, structural racism, systemic bias, and systemic racism, the bill would also bar abolitionist teaching in a state that sent more than 91,000 soldiers to fight with the Union Army in the Civil War. The list of barred words or concepts includes equality, inclusivity, education, multiculturalism, patriarchy, as well as social justice and cultural awareness. So yeah, it would apply to in this classroom and in trainings, bar words. But they're just using overwhelming, so Neo Ripshaft, hi, by the way, and Salvation, hi. And did I say hi to Tara? I think I did. But Kristi, they're just using overwhelming dictatorial violence to preserve the natural way of things, since the one thing we know about nature is that it has to be enforced. Yeah, exactly. I feel like there's a real lack of, and of course, I'm doing so much, but I really would like to kind of go back through the history of, let's say, patriarchy, right? Because there's a lot of this that's built up in hierarchies. These are hierarchies embedded, I'm not saying anything new, but just in the way that these sort of things get built into the culture. Yeah. And then people assume the lie becomes the truth. And if you start to look at the facts and unpack those narratives, people feel threatened that the whole sense of their identity is going to come crashing down. And rather than being accurate, they want to be protected. So it is both. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the fact that this got unanimous support from all Republicans in Wisconsin. They might just, honestly, just get out your Hitler Roman salute and just start doing that, because that's next. Seriously. So Republicans are a threat to democracy. Republicans are a threat to domestic tranquility, and their aim is not to expand rights, but to oppress us. From this bill, you can tell they have no interest in increasing liberty. They want to take away your free speech and your freedom of thought. Garbage. Freaking garbage. Yeah, Republicans are evil. So I'm actually because, all right, hey, I wasn't sure how much I was going to do for the show today, but I see I'm at 45 minutes. And I am, again, because I was up late doing D&D stuff, I'm going to probably wrap this up here in the next couple of minutes. But I want to thank you all for stopping by. And now that, let's see, I've organized 2 one-shots this month and participated in 2 others. And so hopefully November I'll have some time to do some more content creation. Hey, did you all see my Greeks video? Maybe we'll end on that. So all Republicans in Wisconsin are racist. Got it. Pretty much. When you vote for that, yeah. I don't know how you, yeah, absolutely. And I'm not saying that every single Democrat throughout history has been better, but Democrats are way better on these issues than Republicans are right now, yeah. Okay, so where were we? What was I going to talk about? Oh, I think I was going to just look at some of your comments. Reneo Ripshaft writes, if you've never read old writings about these ideas, it's worth digging into. They didn't hide what they meant at all when they were coming up with ideas like eugenics or intelligence. Correct. I had a little back and forth with somebody, a typical racist troll. I have these, like they flood into my replies all the time. Actually, maybe I can get it out. I think I've got my... Oh, that's not what I wanted. Sorry, everyone. Notifications. I think that's what I wanted. Okay. I don't know what that is. Oh, right. So there is a... Yeah. Sorry, this is going so wrong. So now, sadly, this person came into my replies, and I can't remember what the entire thing was, but they said white people invented 90% of everything that existed. Something. And I asked, white people as a concept didn't exist before the 17th century, so how do you think they invented 90% of everything? And the other person just eventually they ended up blocking me. Like, they came into my replies, and when I called them out on their crap, they blocked me. But there is so much of this white supremacist lie out there where, let's say, okay, white people invented a whole bunch of stuff, like, look at the technology in Europe. But what they don't say is, let's take military technology. All of the advances that were based on gunpowder were completely impossible with the contributions of Chinese culture. So you can't take credit for things that Europeans imported or borrowed or, took from other cultures. You can't say that white people like, Isaac Newton and Leibniz invented calculus without acknowledging the contributions of Arab scholars. But they want to do that. They're like, okay, well, white man, it's just sort of like the whole thing. Like, there's no understanding of the history. Newton and Leibniz, they were white men and they were brilliant and they invented calculus. Well, again, they're standing on the shoulders of a bunch of not white people, not white men. So I don't even know where I'm going with this. I think I was going to look at my bookmarks. That's what we're going to look at. So anyway, there is just... So we've got that. White man, temper tantrum, mantrums. Oh yeah, Boris Johnson is crap. Oh, this is good. So apparently Melania and Donald went to a baseball game and she couldn't keep the facade up. Let's just watch her face when she's like, ugh. She must just find him physically repulsive, but she stays with him, so I have no sympathy for that woman whatsoever. Oh, Lucky Wanderer says, I was listening to Embrace the Void podcast on Confucianism, and this nonsense comes from Kant, who wanted to pretend all philosophy and understanding came from the West. A lot of white supremacists in European history, absolutely. Yeah, and that idea that somehow white people get to, claim other people's ideas as being their ideas just by touching it, that doesn't work. All right, here is watch your face, and there's where she goes from fake smile to it's exhausting. It's exhausting faking emotions, as I'm learning from body language experts, that your face. Natural emotions don't stay on your face for a long time. If someone's really, really happy, they will look happy, but eventually your muscles get tired, so your muscles will relax. You'll still stay the same. People who want to lie about their emotions will just, put a smile on their face or put a frown on their face and force it to stay there because the emotion isn't genuine. And your muscles get tired. Your face muscles just get tired, and so you drop the mask. You literally sort of drop the expression because it's not genuine. And this her disgust reaction. Oh, hey, Fake Queen Corey, how you doing? Good to see you. Oh yes, key voter fraud claim in Nevada unravels. Oh, imagine that. Republicans, fascist, anti-democratic Republicans lying about something. Actual audit finds Wisconsin elections. What was that? Okay. Key voter fraud claim unravels. Quiet, Rachel. Rachel! Like, not now. I love you, but not now. Okay, over the course of the year, the public learned a lot of a handful of instances in which Trump supporters were caught trying to cast ballots on behalf of dead relatives. Yeah, I should do a video on that, showcasing all of the voter fraud of Trump voters. That would probably get a lot of clicks, if I'm honest. In each instance, the Republicans were caught, fraudulent ballots were not counted, and the cases were referred to prosecution. Several perpetrators already pled guilty. Now there's a Nevada case, excuse me, and wasn't an instant of voter fraud. They thought this was the instant of voter fraud, and apparently it didn't turn out as anything. So the Nevada Republican, the host is referring, I don't know, I'm reading this as we go. Oh, right, Donald Kirk Hartle expressed outrage someone would try to cast a ballot on behalf of his late wife, and it was him. Yeah, I think I need to do a little, like, criminals. So I want to do my trailers thing now that the Halloween, for November, now that the Halloween stuff is almost all over, all the one-shots. But I don't feel like there's enough documentation. Like, I feel it would be a real contribution if I did something really basic, maybe a voiceover, like detailing all of the Republican voter fraud or something. Couldn't smile because we were in a constant chronic pain. Oh no. Already dead. It's hard hanging from those cheekbones. I think I'm going to be wrapping this up, y'all. I mean, obviously Wisconsin Republicans are fascists, authoritarians who want to prevent people from having liberty and justice for all. And what is this? Oh, right. I think we looked at this. Yeah. And of course, you know, while Colin Kaepernick is being obsessed over by this racist myth-informed group, they are not saying a single word about Charlie Kirk's crowd asking for violence. Like, literally the guys are, you know, like, when do we get the guns? I can't say it for terms of service. That's how bad it is. Like, I can't say what Charlie Kirk and this guy on the right said because it is against terms of service. But, you know, the real threat is anti-racism. The real threat are the feelings of white kids who might realize, oh my gosh, America did awful things in order to benefit one racial group and one portion of the gender, like, section of that racial group for my benefit. All right, y'all. I'm going to go and get stuff ready for the day. I'm hoping, next week I won't be so tired, and so we can maybe get back to some Weber. But going to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning after raising, yay, we met our goals. And thanks to, if you contributed to the charity, thank you so much. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this up a little bit early. Figure out with my peeps what time we're starting. I don't know our game today because time differences, so I need to go sort that out. All right. Then please come back next week. I will have something fun for you. Who knows? Maybe I can start to do a little bit of a feature here of those Republican criminals. Yeah, would you guys like that? Can I do a little, let's do a vote, let's do a poll in the chat. Should we do, should I start a feature, start some GOP voter fraud, like, showcase? Hey, don't go anywhere yet. Okay, yes, no, maybe so. All right. And thank you, everyone who's saying, yeah, I know, I'm starting to wrap it up. That's so Wisconsin. Like, well, I suppose, and then you talk for another 20 minutes. But yeah, would you guys like me to do a feature every week, a little bit of Weber, but then also maybe can start assembling information on these Republican voter fraud cases? So yeah, I think I knew the answer to this when I got going. The GoFundMe is still open. Yes, it is. So if you did have like $5 or $10, if you're like you're planning on buying Halloween candy for the kids, and with COVID, there's not so many of them, go ahead and throw $5 or $10 dollars or euros or whatever else towards the Save the Children Foundation fund that we raised money for. Excellent. Good. Go Eggberry. Have a good time at your appointment. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Be well, be happy, be safe, wherever it is, whenever it is you are. I've been Kristi. You've been awesome. And I'll see you back here next week for some more Winter's Weekend nonsense. Thank you again for stopping by. I do appreciate it. All right, till then, I said I've been Kristi, you've been awesome, right? All right. Why is my stream button for coming? It's not coming up. Come on. Take the Netflix notice off. All right, I think we've got it now. All right. Bye.